Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And BlueDragonFive.
And Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom is about to enter the billion-dollar club, but under a sea of questionable reviews. And Dragon, you and I are about to break that down in the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom Spoilercast. All right, man, oh man, Dragon, this was a divisive one. I came out of this movie just kind of getting my thesis statement out of the way. I came out of this movie saying that it was my favorite of the Jurassic franchise after the first movie, not saying that it's a great resume by any stretch, because infamously I was very let down by the first Jurassic World. So it's better than the first Jurassic World. Up until this point, my favorite Jurassic Park movie was honestly Jurassic Park 3 after the first one. So, suffice to say, folks, not very high expectations. Still feel that way, and I gotta say, I feel like there's just sort of this this bubble of negativity surrounding this movie. I don't necessarily think that's fair, because it's a ridiculous movie. But you know what? I feel like this is kind of like the Jurassic Park 3 for the new age, where I'll defend Jurassic Park 3 just like I defend this one, where this one is kind of like a B horror movie, where Jurassic Park 3 is kind of like this B adventure movie. So I like it quite a bit. I think it's got some interesting ideas in it. Having said that, the pacing is very off with it. We'll get to that when we get into our three-act structure of it all. But it's not an amazing movie by any stretch of the imagination, but it did have a couple sequences in particular, basically the bookends of the movie, to tell you the truth, Dragon. The bookends of the movie are what sell it for me. That kind of fill me with the same childlike sense of wonder that I got from the first Jurassic Park. Which, of course, the first Jurassic Park, the whole movie is that. So it's like, any sequel to the Jurassic franchise that captures even a little bit of that, okay in my book. And this kind of did it for me. But, like I said, obviously I don't acknowledge this is a great movie by any means. All right, so Dragon, we've purposely not talked about this movie for a week. I'm kind of on the edge of my seat. Like, do you love it? Do you hate it?
All right, well, here's where I come down on it. So as a very casual Jurassic Park fan, very late to the game, bear in mind, folks. Basically, when Jurassic World was kind of sweeping the nation, that's when I kind of taking a dive into the Jurassic Park thing, really. So, as a casual Jurassic Park fan, with continuing issues with the premise of the franchise. Even since, as much as I really do, I do enjoy the Jurassic Park film, but even with that, you still got issues with. But again, issues that come with the premise, and then you kind of need them to kind of get the ball rolling. So there's kind of there's a happy medium in the case of that movie, where you kind of need it, but it's still kind of apparent. Where as it goes on, those problems kind of stretch and they become bigger holes, and it's like it becomes more and more apparent as each film in the franchise goes on. And again, to be fair, folks, I haven't quite seen Jurassic Park 3 yet. I keep meaning to. I just haven't gotten to it yet. So anyway, back to this. Yeah, essentially that's where I kind of I keep wanting to. I get to Alan. It's like I don't stop because that bit isn't great. I just kind of stop because it's like I heard something else comes up, but I remember that Alan bit though.
Alan.
Anyway, so I have continual issues with the premise of the franchise. So this movie specifically, it didn't dazzle me, but I enjoyed it.
Okay.
It ain't perfect by a long shot. It's more of a. But here's the thing I like about it. Here's the big thing I want to highlight. So it's not perfect by a long shot, but it's more of a creative effort. You can see more of a creative effort, which I respect. I really respect what this movie was going for, and it's I think Jurassic World was simpler and more direct, but I really love what this movie's trying to do. It's just really, really clunky. And again, I feel there's a great movie here, but if it hadn't been as clunky, I think it really could have delivered. So again, I respect what it was going for. That's where I'm at on Fallen Kingdom. Even still having molded over, I'm still kind of just at that place with it. So right.
Yeah, I think you and I are pretty much on the same page about that, Dragon. So basically, the plot of this movie, folks, is it should have been called Jurassic Mansion for all intents and purposes. We'll build to the Jurassic Mansion of it all.
But Disney was like, hey, wait a minute.
What?
I'm telling you, Disney was like on the side saying, "Hey, wait a minute, Jurassic Mansion, that's too similar."
uh, the plot of the movie is essentially that a bunch of rich billionaire assholes want to clone the Indominus Rex for some head-scratching reason. Why, Dragon, you ask? Ask why, Dragon.
Why?
Because we've got to have money. So basically, the whole plot of the movie becomes a mess of we've got to save the dinosaurs. Dinosaurs have rights, and versus kind of a remix of the first Jurassic World movie's militarization of raptors, but done in a much more fun, cartoony kind of way, which all climaxes in, oddly enough, the most claustrophobic and horror movie-esque third act of any Jurassic movie, which I quite enjoyed. Dragon, I don't know if I'm selling it right, but that's because the plot of the movie in a nutshell is kind of like just all over the place, as we'll establish.
All right.
Is there anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, it's well, of course, like a visit to an island that's pretty, let's just say, explosive, but it's about it. It's.
Well, folks, since this is a spoiler cast and all that, yeah, the original Jurassic Park Island is no more. It's gone. It's exploded. Big game changer there.
Yeah.
All right. But we'll build up to that. Let's get started with Jurassic Island. And so, Dragon, this movie starts. I really hope you agree with me on this. One of the best sequences in any Jurassic Park movie.
Well, I'll say this much. This is my favorite.
Right off the bat, this movie was like, all right, if the rest of the movie is this good, holy crap, chance here. Unfortunately, the rest of the movie wasn't this good, but my God.
Well, I'll say this much. When I was watching the movie and we got to the opening, this was this is like kind of the sell. This is the moment of the movie that kind of sold me on. Okay, I want to see the rest of this thing because this opening was great. It's probably my favorite part of the movie. Honestly, I really did love the opening. I thought it was great. And it's a perfect note to start on. What I like about it is we have this aftermath and kind of the it's aftermath and the way it's shot, the way it's brought to life. It's definitely, at the very least, it's this and of course a sequence in the third act are probably the best directed sequences in the movie. We have a few really well directed sequences in the movie, but this scene and a scene in the third act definitely take the cake. And I love how the opening is very evocative of the original Jurassic Park. It has those scary moments. It feels like the opening of Jurassic Park, in the rain and such. It's.
I think a missed opportunity would have been to recycle the famous line from the original opening. Choo-ha! Choo-ha!
So again, it's very well shot, and we have this perfect mix of we have this perfect kind of mix and perfect kind of like little tease at the movie here. We have the T-Rex, the Tyrannosaurus, where we have just wonderfully shot and the lightning and everything in the darkness, and it's just this. Basically the T-Rex and the Mosasaurus, the giant kind of giant sea dino in the water. It feels very Jaws-like. The opening feels very Jaws-like, and I appreciated that. Especially, of course, here's the thing. Even before we saw the T-Rex, I knew, knowing based on the marketing, which spoiled a lot, by the way. The marketing was terrible for this movie.
The marketing pretty much spoils everything.
Yeah, but one of the great money shots that I liked, I had no idea it was going to be a big spoiler, but the Mosasaurus, which is a huge kind of moment from the Jurassic World, and I knew I love the kind of the Jaws feeling of those guys in the sub down there, they're in trouble because I with the sense of aftermath. I love that we have I love the logic of the Indominus Rex remains below after the Mosasaurus ate it. And the bones would be down there if you're harvesting the DNA and if you want the Indominus Rex. As I was seeing that sequence unfold, okay, this is great logic and aftermath. This is what I love this in movies. And we have and we also have a recurring kind of almost like a Jaws thing where with Jaws you have the music, but we have here ladders. Instead of music, it's ladders.
Yes.
Ladders are the symbol of death or the symbol of danger at the very least. It's just that one idiot just did not climb the ladder when he should have. It's just just ladders, lots of ladders, man. But seriously, just that Mosasaurus, I do like that it was just this. You're in the water, you know there's that sense of danger of what ate the Indominus Rex, as in, oh boy, it's still in there. And of course, the fact that that door didn't fully close and it was like kind of, it got out before anything else gets out. So all of that was just it was just
What I love about it is it's got that great kind of tension of the T-Rex going after the ladder and, like eating the ladder halfway. And, there's that brief moment of celebration, like, yeah. But then, of course.
I mean, so all of that's great. The one note I have about it, though, again, the ladder thing's just like, it's, you need it for like kind of a scary sequence. So I'll take the ladder thing; it's fine. But I could have sworn, you correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, have you seen this more than once?
Actually, no, I haven't.
All right. Well, let me ask you this: do you recall the guys in the sub? Were they the guys who ended up in the helicopter? Like, did they get out of there? Because I assume those guys in the sub got eaten. Then I saw the guys who were eerily similar to those guys in the helicopter at the end.
I'm pretty sure that's the case.
Well, which one? Like, are they the same guys or no?
Yeah, the same guys. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Because the way the way they edited that, it looked like the lights went out. I guess it's a misdirect, but it looked like, oh my god, I got him. It's like, yes. It's horrible, horrifying. It was anyway. So I guess okay. So we got through, of course, the opening big standout. So I guess the overall kind of aftermath with kind of our stuff at the Senate and kind of where we're doing with Claire this movie. Let's talk about that next.
Well, of course, we bookend the movie with Goldblum, which is, I think, a really good decision. I think if, to tell you the truth, I think if Goldblum would have just been in this scene, it would have been kind of disappointing. But I feel that the way they use Goldblum, and we'll kind of circle back around to that, is really good to the overall movie, and I hope he has a bigger role to play in the third one.
Yeah, it'd be nice, but there's a question of how much Goldblum. Here's the thing: I don't know. I think after I would imagine if you're Jeff Goldblum, after the experience you had on on Jurassic Park: The Lost World, after that experience, I wonder how much whether he's like the lead character now, which I doubt he'd be the lead character. I assume he would just have.
Well, in a perfect world, I'd want my third Jurassic World movie to be a reunion between Ellie Slater, Jeff Goldblum, and Alan Grant. You know what I mean? Like, I would want the big three. Like, I wouldn't even care about Owen and Claire at that point.
Sure. My point is, like, I don't know, like, well, you can probably gauge this better. Like, is there a lot of backlash for you? I mean, I know we kind of people make fun of, like, Sarah, like all the Goldblumisms from. Basically, I've heard people mock, the Goldblum performance in Jurassic World, Jurassic: The Lost World, regularly. And I'd imagine, like, maybe he'd be hesitant to kind of do a bigger role. Maybe this is like all he was like. I don't know if this is all he was willing to do or all they wrote for him, like all they figured in the work.
You know what? I get the sense it's all they wrote for him, to tell you the truth, but I don't know.
I don't know exactly how he. I think it's like.
I feel like they're just kind of like. I feel like this new movie is kind of just pushing the new characters and the young faces, and that's going to be a problem that we're going to get into because, frankly, the characters in this movie are garbage and garbage. Pauly D. Anyway, sorry.
But you see my point, though. It's again, I think Goldblum's a cool guy, and obviously, I think he likes being part of the Jurassic fraternity. I just don't know how much he likes.
It's like, even if it's just for one scene where Alan Grant, Ellie Slater, and Ian Malcolm just sit down and have a conversation that's reminiscent of the, of the one from the original movie. That's all I want. That's all I want. I just want those three in a room together again.
Well, let me talk about the Senate scene itself. Just basically one of the big ideas of the movie. So, because this correlates to the whole Claire thing. At least we end where we start with Claire, kind of where she's doing after Jurassic World here. I like the again. Here's a thing that they're scratching the surface of that I really thought was interesting, but I don't think we went far enough with it. At least I don't think we didn't handle as cleanly as we could have. I love Malcolm, at the Senate, with recommending that the dinosaurs, not be saved, which again kind of makes sense. At the very least, makes for an interesting debate. It's like it's our fault. We clone these things, and they are too dangerous. I mean, I don't want them to die, but the fact of the matter is, we can't account for these guys in our world. And I kind of I sort of agree with the solution. I'm sure a lot of people poke a lot of logic holes in what the solution was, like the government's not going to get involved. But here's the thing: I agree to a point where I understand the government not getting involved in like kind of the evacuation of this because again we can't really accommodate this and it's such kind of a messy matter they don't want to get involved. But by the same token, I think the agreement that they reached, like if someone wanted to privately fund a rescue, that's essentially what happens in the movie. Okay, the government's not getting involved, but anyone wants to do it, they're welcome to, like if they're privately funded. However, here's the big but that they really should have kind of had in the fine print here. But it should be vetted with a plan. Like you should have, like this should be, you should vet this privately funded organization, make sure they check out and everything. If like they want to move them to an island, that's fine, that's great. Let's just make sure, like, if we're not going to get involved, just have like one guy on the ground to kind of keep an eye on the process, maybe.
Right.
Like the lawyer from Jurassic Park.
Henry Wu needs to be the one guy on the island, as per your pitch from years ago.
Oh yeah, you know what's so funny? We'll get into it here, but I kind of called 3 things in this movie, technically. Not the Henry Wu stuff. I'm just saying like the 3 other things. Which we got like 3 very minor things, really expected things. So don't get too crazy. But can I call a semi-called 3 things accidentally in this movie? So and we'll get there. But yeah, you see what I mean? It's kind of I like that interesting debate though. It's not really an easy like what if we had dinosaurs in the world? We have to figure out a way to deal with that.
And then that leads us to Claire, who, I don't know, Dragon, I gotta say, at this point, Chris Pratt is winning me over a little bit more. Bryce Dallas Howard, I'm sorry, Dragon, the kindest I can say for her is she's more tolerable in this movie. Like, that's about the nicest I can be. I'm sorry. I'm not won over by this character at all.
I mean, look, that's fair. I think they just minimalized her because they realized, okay, we really have no idea what we're doing with this character, but we need her for continuity's sake. So we'll have her be there and have her not be ridiculous. So we'll just do that with her, and she'll be in the background. She'll be pretty standard. There's one, I'll speak to this. Here's an issue I do have with just the whole with our kind of our returning characters. So the relationship, I think, is make a really silly choice with the relationship at the top of this thing. So I'm not just speaking to like the whole genesis of the whole like, oh yeah, they had the random kiss, therefore they're kind of an item. I don't mean that, but the thing that bugs me in this movie is okay, we're just rolling with that. Okay, now they're a couple. Let's not pry into that, but I just wonder why overcomplicate things because so the gist of it is Claire is contacted by Mr. Mills by I don't remember his name here. By Eli Mills. He's contacted by Eli Mills, and this guy essentially says, "Hey, he's the private funding. Essentially, like, hey, we're gonna." He's basically the executor of kind of a affiliated Hammond estate. It's not Hammond himself, but it's Ben Lockwood, who we'll get into momentarily.
We'll get into Lockwood, yes.
Sure, we'll get into Lockwood. The point is, like again, Claire. What I like with Claire is on the whole, in connection, the whole like kind of Goldblum thing that was kind of laying out is. I like that Claire, she's a kind of an advocate. She's not seeing him as assets anymore. She's not seeing him as just like, parts of a park. Like she saw him up close and personal. Therefore, again, she bears responsibility for the dinosaurs and kind of making so many of them. And she takes responsibility for them with the whole, like, advocacy group in the city. So, I mean, that was good. And so, she's involved in that respect, and that's all good. But here's where things slowly begin to get a little ridiculous for me. We definitely hit on some like obvious sequel territory here, where, basically, Mills here when Mills says like well, we really want Blue. We really got to say Blue because last of her kind, super smart rafter, and it's a big get for us here. We definitely want to say Blue, very special, and Raptor is very hard to catch. So if you know anybody, we tried reaching out to him, but
Mm-hmm.
And in doing that, here's the ridiculous. Here's the thing that bugs me right off the bat. This isn't the big choice I was hyping up for you, but we'll get there. We're not there yet.
Okay.
I don't understand why we overcomplicate things because she seeks out Owen. Chris Pratt's character seeks out Owen, and you'd imagine in a sequel.
Owen's motivation, by the way, in this movie is literally building a cabin in the middle of nowhere.
So that's my problem. So here's the thing. So he's just building a cabin in the middle of nowhere, and it's pretty much like we had that scene in the first movie where, okay, it's he's just doing stuff kind of in the.
I feel like it's reminiscent of the bungalow from the first movie, I guess.
It is, but no. Here's the thing: it's reminiscent of that. But
here's the thing, Dragon. This movie has a lot of member berries for the first Jurassic World movie when that isn't warranted. Like Like, if anything, give me more member berries from the first Jurassic Park. You know what I mean? I'll always take Jurassic Park member berries.
You know how many times I keep citing, Superman 2 is kind of a sequel, kind of like a gold standard for what to do in a sequel, right? And just basic sequel 101, just based on that, is you already established your origin essentially, and now we can go on with things. So here's my question: so you're doing a sequel in your new kind of Jurassic World kind of franchise. They're kind of doing it. The whole people made fun of the whole like, is it the fifth movie or is it the second in a new trilogy? That whole business. But the point is,
I mean, it's both, but
no, you're right. It is both. I'm just saying people made fun of the fact that it is kind of both. Like, oh man, they really couldn't. Anyway, so what I'm getting at is I understand why they overcomplicate things. Of okay, they kind of took the bull and okay, these guys are an item. Why don't we just move on with that? Just have them like already be like, hey, Blue's in trouble. You want to help? Sure. Why can't we just do that? Why do we got to do this whole runaround?
Because we always have to do the whole Act 1. Like, no, I'm not going to the island. It's a classic Jurassic Park staple at this point, Dragon.
But I mean, you're right. But the thing is, like, if they're dating and then we have this whole movie that happened that we didn't see of, okay, they tried and then they broke up for a really ridiculous reason of like, hey, I invited you, you left me, I invited you to, live with me in my trailer, and you said no. Why break them up and like why can't we just have them be a couple and just make it simpler? We kind of cut out the middleman. What are we doing?
No, I feel you.
So anyway,
it's just padding at that point.
Yeah. So essentially, I'm right off the bat. I was like, okay, I was like something you have to eat with the Jurassic Park movies. Really, with the exception of Alan Grant and it was Ellie, right? That was Laura Dern's character.
Mm-hmm.
Section of those two, I think the relationships have been really troubled in the Jurassic Park franchise.
Oh, to say the least. So that's just like, of course, we have Sarah.
Oh God, Sarah. I was watching.
Ellie and Alan Grant are actually divorced in Jurassic Park 3, which really depresses me.
Really, they were divorced?
Yes.
Oh man, that is depressing. I thought they were just like, I thought it was like he was on the road or something. I mean, they're divorced.
They have a kid together, but yeah, they're divorced. Unfortunately,
that is weird.
You see, that's why I want to see the reunion, man.
Well, I got some of the picture, which I think you may or may not like. Anyway, we'll get that one later. The point is, oh yeah, so again, getting off the relationship thing. So, I guess the rescue mission of it all. So let's talk about Ben Lockwood a little. The whole kind of what gets us going here.
Oh God, okay, Dragon. I'm mixed on Lockwood because at the same, like, on one hand, I like the idea of Lockwood, like it's a very Westwood-esque or Westworld-esque kind of. Like, to me, it kind of reminds me of the whole Ford versus. Oh God, I'm sorry, it's been a while. Of Ford versus Arnold, My problem with it, though, is that this is the first time we're hearing about this guy, and I just don't feel like that's kind of the problem with these franchises. Right after it gets to a certain point, after we see so many of them, it's kind of like, okay, well, we've been doing this so much, like it's hard to introduce new concepts without raising the question of like, hey, why hasn't that been brought up before? And I feel like, of course, that's why the MCU is kind of at the height it's at, because it's kind of found that level of building blocks with the franchise that other cinematic universes haven't.
Yeah, here's the thing for me. So Ben Lockwood, I like James Cromwell, and I thought, if you're gonna try to make an attempt to kind of capture that Hammond spirit of like through another guy, I mean, Cromwell is an understandable casting choice. I think Cromwell is fine.
I feel like they do a better job than the Hammond stand-in they had in the first Jurassic Park movie. I'll give it that much.
Sure, I'll give you that. I mean, yeah, Cromwell's feels like, and the one thing I did call there was an obvious call though was the cane. We brought the cane back.
Yep.
And there was a big moment with the shattering of the cane too. Like that
broke my heart, Dragon. That broke my heart a little bit. That was kind of like one of those classic literary devices of the death of an inanimate object being a big deal.
Because that's the thing. I remember basically, folks, what I had been pitching was to Tiki. I don't know if I think it was maybe privately. I don't know if I ever got it on.
Yeah, it was privately. Yeah.
Essentially, just very simple. Was like the one sentence pitch. It was Jurassic Underground, where it was basically in like a bunker. You would have like a lab in a bunker. A lot of like kind of tunnels and the base subterranean. It was like all subterranean.
You weren't too far off with that, really.
I don't say it's like a subterranean underground base. Wu would be our main focus, and we'd open the movie with we do like a full circle thing. And actually, I got to tell you, now I'm going through this, I'm kind of remembering. Oh yeah, we did kind of go full circle with the Goldblum thing too. So there's kind of basically it was Dr. Wu haunted. He was walking through the empty kind of like. He was walking through the empty original Jurassic Park, Jurassic Park, and he was like walking there, and he had like the amber cane, and he was like, "What is like a what have I done moment?" And he got either at the cold open at the beginning, or like the full circle link up at the end, he would have dropped the cane and would have broken.
Mm-hmm.
That essentially was my pitch, folks. So I mean, bear in mind, closed in spaces with dinosaurs, and that's kind of what we do in certain locations on the island here, so that's why I bring it up. So I go, a lot of stuff. By pure accident, I called a couple things.
All right. So then we get to the island stuff. I guess, do you want to bring up the two supporting characters?
Yeah, sure, briefly. And also, again, it's I like this. I like that it's a kind of a straightforward rescue mission concept. I mean, again, I was what the trailers were pitching us, and I was like, okay, it makes sense. We're going to save the dinosaurs. And again, the thing I was really appreciating in the beginning was the whole ethical debate about, should we do this? And I like how that's seeded through there. But again, I think we don't quite stick the landing on it, but I like how we seed that through there. So again, we're kind of adding some kind of a smarter question to the very basic, okay, sequel premise.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to save them from the island.
All right, so Franklin, he's got a personality at least. That's more basically than I can say for like half of the Jurassic sequel characters.
Well, at least like his main gimmick is that he spells out this is very dangerous and we're not compatible. He basically speaks the writer's minds.
He's kind of like an IT C-3PO.
Well, if you put it that way, I guess maybe, but yeah, I guess.
I have a big problem with Franklin that we'll get to in the second act. But I got to admit, in Act 1, he was fine. Like, it was kind of fun having a character. Like, this is, like, maybe the most out-of-his-element character that we've ever had in a Jurassic movie. So that was kind of that was a bit entertaining to see. I don't know. Maybe that's being too kind to it.
Then we have, what is it, Zia?
Zia.
So here's the thing. I like how useful Zia is. She's the veterinarian to the dinosaurs. I don't really buy how she'd be that good at her job if she's been theoretically a veterinarian for dinosaurs. But I don't know. I guess like her kind of trial by fire sort of situation. I guess. I mean, then again, like Ellie, Ellie kind of knew what she was doing in Jurassic Park. So I don't know. It's not that much of a leap. I do think there is one thing that bugs her about, and we'll get into. I guess. I don't know. I guess we can get into a little here. I think she has kind of an agenda about her. It's kind of like a little bit of uber feminism with Zia. It kind of bugs me. It's like, I think we can.
Yeah.
Really, it's only one scene that really bugs me. Like when she goes up against my least favorite character in the movie here, and she says, basically she says, I'm your equal here. Don't talk to me like I'm not your equal. It's like, and they come with me, beefcake. That whole thing. That's just.
Oh, you didn't like stereotypical as hell army guy?
Here's the thing. I love the actor. I hate with it. He's in relation to one of my biggest problems in the movie.
Okay.
So we're getting really close to that. So, by the way, real quick, I want to mention this too. Some of my other favorite stuff in the movie. I do love the old footage of Owen training Blue. I love that footage. It's one of my favorite things in the movie.
Yeah, and I like how it's worked into the plot too.
Yeah, and it kind of helps build trust in a moment later on. So it's really good, charming footage. Like, there's some feel good stuff in this really scary movie. All right, so we got a ragtag group. Again, Zia, a little bit of forced feminism there, and so then we have let's see. Oh, here. Let's get into my issue then. So here we go with the army guy. So here's the complication of it all. So in the Jurassic Park franchise, there's always somewhat of a contrivance, and this one almost more than any of the others, but this one especially for me. I don't know what it was. This one really rubbed me. This one's pretty bad, and that complication has a name, Wheatley. So Ted Levine, I love the actor Ted Levine. I love him in, of course, Buffalo Bill, very famously from Silence of the Lambs. And for me, I love him as Captain Stottlemyre on Monk. He was really good on Monk for 8 years. Really good show. Anyway, this movie, he plays a moron. And so here's my biggest flaw with
He reminds me of the Colonel from Avatar.
I think I've heard that comparison somewhere. I don't know about that. He definitely feels like a very like not even Diet Coke. It feels like a really off brand, like not even not like a Pepsi, or I'm talking like really off brand. I'm talking like
Like a
one of
Diet
those,
Shasta, basically.
like even worse than Shasta. But
Oh
yes,
man,
it's like he's
oh
like,
man, worse than Shasta. That's
you know what I
fighting
mean?
words
It's like
right
one of
there.
those like fake brands. That it's like you've never seen this movie, Tiki, but it's really good. It's called Mother with Albert Brooks and Debbie Reynolds, and she plays his mother. And they go to like a grocery store, and there's this great running gag where Albert Brooks points out that why don't you buy name brands? She always buys like at like a local grocery store. She buys the cheapest, most off-brand knockoffs of the products, and it's like that's like what I'm talking about with this guy. Is he's like the most off-brand uh, of a product of like he's an off-brand version of kind of our. I think you're gonna know this guy's name, the Safari, the helpful Safari guy from the first movie. The clever girl guy.
Oh,
One says clever girl.
Muldoon?
Muldoon, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
He's like that. He's like that of Muldoon. He's dressed like Muldoon, but he's just. So here's my big problem. This is the very least is the big crack in the whole armor. That's a crack that spreads throughout the movie. This is where my first big like, uh-oh moment of the movie was right here. So my biggest problem in the movie is so Ted Levine again is like, hey, there's Ted Levine. Oh, we'll see what happens. And and we have this moment where we have our big villain turn. Our big villain turn is my big problem here. Where it's one, it was a little obvious from the get go. I had a bad.
Oh,
I
yeah,
had
a little bit. Yeah, just a little bit.
I'm saying, look, Eli Mills. Like, I'm getting this. Eli Mills just like, okay, I have a sense that this is all going to go wrong, just based on like what I've seen. Even the first non-spoilery trailer is like, okay, I got a sense of what's a little off here. Okay, this guy's probably going to be a bad guy. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be him or like just purely the other guy. But anyway, so we get this Wheatley guy. So again, I don't have any like I'm not super shocked that he's a villain or he's working with the villains. But here's what bugs me. Here's the thing that sticks in my craw about this whole movie. All right, okay, so we have this great scene that we built up. Or okay, Owen he's reunited with Blue. We knew this was going to go wrong. So that's not what bugs me. You're saying Owen he's trying
again another thing that was totally spoiled in the trailers.
To be fair, that very first trailer didn't show how wrong it went. The other, like the third trailer, shows you exactly almost the entire scene playing out, which is a bigger problem. And I watched it after this, so then I thought, oh my god, they really botched that up. So I wasn't spoiled on everything in this scene. The point is, so again, this thing's not going to go right because like Blue's like turns to the side, he's freaking out. But so Blue gets tranked. And not only it gets tranked and mistakenly shot. So again, it's a horrible. The whole thing goes belly up. It's just a horrible operation. This is what bugs me. So, right. So I'm sorry. Let me try and get my thoughts here. So, Wheatley, he just at this specific moment, out of any moment you could have done a villain turn, out of anyone, literally your payday was about to be delivered to you. I get that he's greedy, but he's too stupid. He's just literally he was winning her over, and if you guys held back or did anything, the guy that you brought here, who is the raptor expert in the room, specifically with this one raptor named Blue. He was your payday was about to be given to you. No muss, no fuss, and you don't stop when he says, like don't shoot it, don't trank it. And then of course, one of your guys brings live ammunition to a job where you of all people, if you have an agenda, deliver them alive. You these very potent, effective trank darts. Why would you bring a gun and just shoot the most important of all the dinosaurs? It's like, why would you do that? And in this mode, why would you have your big villain turn? Like, wait until all of them are loaded up, or at least after they got the one.
I mean, it's like a villain reveal that just happens so out of nowhere. You know what I mean? It's so forced. It's just like, oh, by the way, Owen, we're the bad guys, and we're going to shoot you.
But I'm not alone here, right? This is stupid,
No,
right?
No. That was... I mean, I don't think I had as much of a problem with it because, again, Dragon, I'm kind of like a seasoned veteran to these Jurassic movies. I'm used to dumb villains. But,
you're going to have to explain to me what the big problem with Act 2 is, because this to me was like the beginning of this to me was one of the big kind of structural problems that I think Act 2 is kind of goes by like that. So you're going to have to explain what exactly is wrong with Act 2 when we get there.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Right, let's see. So I think we're almost, I think we have 2 bits left here. So again, the closed-in spaces of it all, again, kind of reminiscent of, basically we have Claire's underground side plot here. Claire and what's the kid's name? The IT
Franklin.
guy. It's Claire and Franklin. They're underground, and again, like, oh boy, it's a closed in space. That lava starting to melt in there, and that's it's again, it's like, hey, closed in space is Jurassic Underground. In all seriousness, though, what did you think of this scene?
The one issue I had with it is that it had like ridiculous lava physics.
Yeah.
Overall,
honestly, a lot of physics don't really. Oh, sorry.
No, I thought it was a good set piece. Like you said, it was kind of like a first taste of the closed-in nature of what we're going to be getting for the rest of the movie. But as I said, the lava physics were just kind of ridiculous, and it just kind of threw me off.
I gotta tell you, overall, specifically with everyone kind of points out the whole, like, if Owen was that close to lava, just the heat alone would do a number on him, and I'm sure that's scientifically accurate. I'm sure. I gotta tell you, it's kind of, it's like, that's like a movie leap. We're okay. It's like, we've seen that with lava 100 times before. Now we're just doing, because now we're smarter in 2018. Now we're like, hey, lava wouldn't work that way. It's like, come on, guys. We've dealt with lava, for years like this. Why have a problem with it now?
I don't know.
I'm just saying, like, specifically in that scene, I'm just like, yeah, I'll give compared to all the other logical issues in this movie, like, I'll give the lava a pass. It's like, come on.
All right, fair enough. All
right, so then we have the big escape. The big escape is really cool. We have the cliff set piece and everything. That's all really cool.
Yeah, and of course we have the, what?
I was going to say gyrosphere. You're going to talk about the Carnotaurs?
Well, no, I was going to say in that lava sequence, we had the second reoccurring use of the ladder motif.
Yep. It's like the Jaws music, only it's iron bars. So, yes.
Yeah, the Carnotaur is definitely not nearly as big as I was hoping it was going to be, Dragon. It was kind of a letdown. Just sort of like, yeah, it's there. It was pretty much everything you saw in the trailer, folks. Not really much pizzazz there.
I think they took cues from Sony when they were making the trailers for this movie.
I really do.
But yeah, the whole cliff set piece, bear in mind we saw pretty much all of it in the trailers, but it was still pretty cool, though.
Mm-hmm.
And here's stuff that we didn't see in the trailer when the gyrosphere goes over, and we have this pretty kind of waterlogged sequence here. Basically, again, more closed-in spaces, folks. Like, this is like the It, or the this is pretty. I guess this be the equivalent to It for claustrophobics. For anyone who's claustrophobic, this movie is going to be like the most scary thing they've ever seen. Like, oh my god, they're stuck in a little clear glass bowl in the water with dinosaurs falling and lava.
I got to admit that was a pretty effective suspense sequence. It was kind of done for gas.
It is great. It's kind of chaotic and scary, like the whole thing. And I love how I like how we're taking the iconography and we're making it, just that much more chaotic and scary. Of like, hey, there was like the sequence where we had the dinosaurs on land running with the Tyrannosaurus, like, kind of giving chase behind, like one of those famous moments from Jurassic Park. But now we're kind of doing that, making it a stampede, and then they're going off a cliff even, and of course we're jumping in the water, and we have a very poignant moment. So again, after the whole save, Owen kind of helping him out from the outside, diving in there, it's a real great intense sequence. Again, well directed too. I want to give all points where I can there in direction. So Jay Bayona.
Yeah, honestly, I do think he's very much the best Jurassic director we've had since Spielberg.
I'd agree with that. Yeah, sure.
And yeah, here we go, Dragon. The Brontosaurus sequence.
Yeah,
I would say even the most jaded, hardcore haters of this movie have to admit that this is there's something magical in a dark way about this sequence.
I'm with you, Tiki. It was I do wonder this though. I wonder how I love this thing. I think it's a great ending to Act 1. It's a really great.
I feel like in some ways, Dragon, in some ways, I kind of had the Last Jedi, like, fuck you experience of, like, hey, there goes your childhood, literally up in flames. You know what I mean? Like, we do get kind of like a brief return to form of the majesty of the Brontosauruses earlier in the film. But then, fuck you, they're all dead. They're dying. You know what I mean? So
I'm saying, like, let me ask you this.
Powerful in that way, but I have said this before. I'll say it again, Dragon. This movie, to me, very much is kind of like a drunken Last Jedi.
I'd agree with that. I agree with that. Sure. Let me ask you this. So, do you think it'd be more effective if this is the first, if the end of the bracket, what is it, Brachiosaurus?
I mean, I just call it a Brontosaurus because I'm old school.
Well, sure, whatever. Long necks.
Sure, let's go with long necks. Yes, keep it real old school.
Yeah, say the ones go Bluetooth all this. So, if this is if the end of the long necks was the first time we saw them, do you think it'd be more effective, or do you think like having that tease and then like hey, you remember this?
I definitely think having the tease makes it more effective.
All right, that's fair. But again, seriously, it's a fantastic end to act one. It's very poignant. But the fact that the last thing we see before like the door closes up, it's very effective. It's really great. So again, like visually, we have some very direction wise, we're doing excellent. We're going gangbusters on sequences and moments and visually, I think this movie is more ambitious and more diverse than World. So. All
right, but then the story shifts gears and it goes from Jurassic Island to Jurassic Boat Dragon. Yeah. They're on a boat.
Here's how you make Jurassic Boat.
Just in a nutshell, Dragon. In a nutshell, my big issue with Act 2 is, my God, Franklin and Zia just get cast to the side in the most unceremonious ways.
That's true. However, we do make Zia a little bit more important, though.
She's a little bit more important, but what happens to Franklin is ridiculous, and we don't see him for like 45 minutes.
That's fair. No qualms with that. I mean, you're right. There's the kids like, hey, you, help us out. And of course, hey, shows up in Act 3. There we go. That's pretty much it.
That point, Dragon, that's when I say, like, the characters in this movie are garbage. Like, they might have decent setup to them, but there's no arc to any of them, really.
You're not wrong. I think there's like a wimpy attempt at an arc in the third act. There's like this really wimpy attempt at an arc with Franklin specifically, and it's really ridiculous. But we'll get there. We'll get there. But what's saying, Kurt? Here's how you make Jurassic Boat the next movie in the Jurassic Park.
Oh God!
Get Mark Rylance. Get Mark Rylance the captain of the ship.
Oh my God!
I'm saying you want to get some of that Dunkirk magic in there. That's how you
and it'd be Spielberg's return to the Jurassic franchise, because of course him and Rylance are like a dynamic duo these days.
Yep. Would it help Steven? Yeah. Anyway.
Oh God.
Folks, that's a Bridge of Spies reference. Anyway, let's talk about the whole Saving Blue sequence, this whole Saving Blue section of the book.
Well, really quick, could I just point out one of my favorite sequences in the movie, though it's a little insubstantial, is the T-Rex in the cage.
Well, yeah, that was kind of the whole Saving Blue scene, but I mean, sure.
Sorry. Honestly, the plot of this movie is a bit of a blur. I forget what connects to it.
I'm saying, the point is, so Blue, again, having foolishly been shot by, again, that really, the really forced, stupid plot contrivance from earlier. So this makes sense again, this is where Zia's starting to earn, like, her kind of small, teeny tiny place at the table here, where it's like, hey, we gotta save Blue, therefore we have kind of Venerian says like, okay, we need to do a transfusion. And I do like how we're thematically and literally linking our two icons, the two remaining icons from the Jurassic franchise, with the T-Rex and the Raptors. We're kind of linking them through their blood, which is kind of cool. And it does also connect to the whole genetic alterations. Basically, here's what we have, Tegan. So this is kind of clever, and we kind of set this up later on. We pay this off. Honestly, this is the closest thing to an arc we have with Zia, if you want to be technical, in that she's in this scene, and then later on we call this back with her in the scene too. I mean, if you count that, then I guess it's an arc for her. But the point is, I like that we have genetic alteration, the whole like the ethics of genetic cloning and like all that stuff, and the kind of splicing specifically. We're altering genetics from a selfless place here to save a dinosaur. We're gonna kind of corrupt the genetic perfection of it, kind of this science. We're gonna combine DNAs of two dinosaurs, not to make an Indominus Rex or an Indoraptor, let's say, but we're gonna do it to save a dinosaur versus selfish means like the previous one stated. That's kind of a neat thematic idea that we have through the literal sense and thematic sense. Then we have the very exciting and very tense sequence of again our icon they have to siphon blood from. Literally the size of a car, they have to siphon gas, the lifeblood of a dinosaur from it. It's a really tense sequence.
Yeah, and again, I feel like the Jurassic franchise at this point is at its best when it's focused on these kind of like small scale back suspenseful sequences.
From what I understand, this was one of the practical dinosaurs that the
yes, it feels like it.
Yeah, because basically when we see, I believe Dallas Howard, she has to jump on the top of the T-Rex's head, and I believe that I guess they had to use the practical head for that, so they didn't have to do like a blue saddle or anything. So she'd have to just get her on like a blue or green saddle, and we'll CG it later.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think this is? A Lucas picture? And of course, Spielberg and Lucas are on the sidelines, like a Statler and Waldorf.
I think Bayona I think he's really making a mistake here. I think the T-Rex would really come alive. He's a dynamic character. He needs to breathe.
I was imagining this. He had and
then Spielberg's like, George, the animatronic is literally breathing. Yeah, I know, Steven, but I'm speaking metaphorically.
Imagining this, you have like a Statler and Waldorf kind of, kind of balcony on the set somewhere. We have Steven and George kind of in the balcony there. It's like, what do you think this is, a Lucas picture? And he says, and they both say, "Hey." Well, George, he does kind of have a point. Oh, I know Steven, but it's anyway. Okay, though, but yeah, it's really great. Again, unfortunately, the big climax, the big payoff of it in the trailer, which is sad. But still,
I mean, we're going to be saying that a lot, folks. That's going to be podcast.
They crapped the bed on the marketing for this movie.
I don't know. I don't want to say it's as bad as the Amazing Spider-Man franchise, but I mean, it's there. It's there.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we didn't know if Gwen was going to make it or not. We knew they were going to do this stuff. We didn't know if she was going to make it. I'm sorry, I can't say that with a straight face. No, I mean, they kept it a little ambiguous, but I mean, seriously, come on. She's in the same outfit. Come on, guys. Unless this is like J.J. Abrams doing that like reversal in Star Trek, I don't think it's going to deviate anyway. So, okay, let's see. Anything else you want to say about the Tyrannosaurus sequence?
No, not really.
All right, so blood bag in tow, they're saving Blue. Meanwhile, let's touch on a bit of what's going on the surface here. Let's talk about kind of our things that are getting in motion. Let's talk about the great Toby Jones.
Yeah, and honestly, Toby Jones is just my favorite in this movie. He has no character, but he's just hamming it up, and it's delicious.
I'm with you, too. You know who he reminds me of so much in this movie that I would be so down for a biopic of? I mean, if they ever do a biopic, they have to get Toby Jones for this person. He in this movie, he's very reminiscent of Paul Williams, and if they ever do a Paul Williams biopic, they have to get Toby Jones. Oh my God, he's stinky. Yeah, look in the Paul Williams stuff. I'm going to see it's uncanny. He'd be perfect. But seriously though, so Toby Jones, even taking that off the table, I just love what his role is. He's a very, he's a greedy auctioneer. He's a businessman. He's the
definitive we've got to have money guy.
He is, and of course I have great fondness for Toby Jones as Armin Zola from the Captain America franchise, and I've seen him do other things. I wasn't crazy about him as Alfred Hitchcock and that HBO movie they did, but he was okay. He did what he could. Just the writing wasn't there. It's what it was. He played a very unflattering Alfred Hitchcock, which was not really cool. Point is. Because that was the story they were telling. They were doing an unflattering Hitchcock movie. It was like, yeah, why do that? The point is, but yeah, it's he's really delightful, and again, he brought to life the auctioneering side of the plot for me, which we'll get into a little bit when we get back to dry land. But here's something, the little nugget of plot here that kind of bugged me too. Is why is he so impatient here? Because you were told this is going to be a day trip, and again, because
hold on. Put a pin on Toby Jones being impatient, all right? We'll get to that.
Well, I mean, okay, I'm just talking about setting up the auction. Can I get into that, or do you want to?
All right. I'm just saying, Toby Jones, there's an ultimate, he just shits the bed on any sort of, profit in one point.
Well, that's later on. I'm not going to touch on that. I'm going to touch on something else here.
Okay.
The point is, so like here's the thing that kind of bugs me. So Toby Jones, like he's kind of playing hardball with Mills here, and Mills is saying like, "Hey, the dinosaurs are coming." Like they're basically it's like essentially we're sold it as like a day trip. Is okay, we bag and tag the dinosaurs and we bring them back and then we auction them off. And again, the way that goes, again, as far as Mills knows, it's going swimmingly. Again, they don't know about the whole blue situation, but again, things are going swimmingly. They didn't miss their boat or anything, so things are going like gangbusters. And presumably, he's told Eversol this. So why is Eversol like threatening the squash the deal? It's like no, things are literally going as you agreed upon. Why?
Yeah.
Why so antsy? Okay. Do you want to touch on Maisie and Dr. Wu at all?
Yeah, I'd love to. I like with Maisie, I actually really think she is one of the best kid characters we've gotten in a Jurassic movie, to tell you the truth. I like that she's a character who has a genuine affection for dinosaurs. She kind of reminds me of Tim from the first movie. She's basically kind of like the closest we've gotten to Tim.
Yeah, I can buy that.
I'm not sure how much you want to get into her because, of course, there's a big elephant in the room regarding her character.
Oh, of course, and we'll get there. It's kind of a brontosaurus in the room, I guess, to make it more.
Yeah.
On the whole, there's the way we're introduced to her. I thought she was a good actress. I get a sense this girl isn't taken seriously enough, and had she been taken seriously, I don't know, maybe we could have kind of snuffed out Mills, before all this.
I think the fact that Mills is literally running a dinosaur auction underneath this guy's feet is hilarious. Honestly, Dragon, that's the B movie quality of it all.
It's like if only they listened to the girl who, again, I mean, Cromwell seemed like a cool guy. Like Lockwood seemed like kind of a cut from kind of the Hammond cloth. At the very least, they sold me on. Okay, I could buy like from kind of the same era of a Hammond. Mm-hmm. And you think he listened to the kid and check things out. And then they know the truth and everything, but no. And let's talk about the great BD Wong for a moment here. Let's not get to the whole the big auction thing later on.
Shame the only thing with BD Wong I think is a shame is that they pretty much recycle. Like he has essentially the same arc as he did in the first movie.
Yes, and I gotta tell you, and this is kind of sad. I mean, he gets it. Don't get me wrong. He has like a good speech later on, like a good like.
I like to see him. Anytime BD Wong shows up, it elevates anything he's in. As far as I'm concerned.
And what I'm saying is, I think they utilized him better in Jurassic World because it felt more important when he said the things that he says in this movie. But it was more important there because he had a whole hey, you asked for this, I delivered.
Right,
and then of course we see other BD Wong, and in this movie here, it's like he kind of has like a cool line later on that is attached to kind of a really stupid thing, but what he in the scene is doing a great job, and it's like we wasted BD Wong, and again going to this movie again not having a lot of expectations, I was hoping because they set up BD Wong as like a big part of this movie, and we just underuse him, and he has no payoff whatsoever, and I do love this
for the second time he has no payoff. It's like, my God, he better be like the main hero of Jurassic World 3 Dragon.
I would really hope so.
I get the sense that this is almost kind of like a Lizard situation from the Raimi Spider-Man movies. It's just kind of like, next movie, BD, next movie.
Then we recast him.
Oh, God.
But yeah, I loved...
Poor Dylan Baker.
That poor man. He was also in Monk for a guest spot. Anyway,
really?
It was a decent episode too. He played a theater critic.
Nice.
So I love him and having a private lab though. I do love that idea. Again, we kind of go a little nuts with how much goes on under Lockwood's nose, but I do like the kind of the idea that the whole Jurassic Park started in this mansion.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. I
agree with you. That was cool. That was kind of like the step between the flea circus and Jurassic Park. I love that element of it.
Yeah, and again, I wish that we kind of used like that lab, and we kind of did stuff with Wu and that lab. I just wish we kind of did more there. And that's kind of anyways. That's I'm trying to think of anything again to use like the Act 2 stuff. Is there anything else in Act 2 you really want to hit on, or?
I think my main issue with of course, there's kind of like of course we use the famous Pixar analogy of we don't care, and I feel like in this one instead of an excited we don't care, it's more of kind of like a shrugging, like empathetic, like meh. We don't care.
It's kind of a DreamWorks we don't care. It's like Shark Tale, we don't care.
Of like, how the hell do they transport that many dinosaurs on the boats?
We don't care.
We don't care. Whatever.
It's like a spirit stallion of the Cimarron. Yeah, we don't care. It looks, I guess it's 2D. People go
I can't
nuts
believe
for
that
it.
show has a series on Netflix that's like 3 seasons in at this point.
I don't believe it either. I think it's like an elaborate ploy. No, I'm kidding. I still think that's ridiculous. Again, I told you before, Spirit is just a movie where I don't know if it was so long ago. I don't know if I actually saw the movie or I saw the trailer which spelled out the movie. That's the thing. I literally cannot remember if I've seen that movie or not.
You know what it is, Draken? I think I remember like sneaking in and watching like the last half hour of it or something like that when me and my sister used to like just spend a whole day like jumping from movie theater to movie theater. I think that's about as far as it goes with Spirit with me. Anyways.
Okay, so I guess with that said, let's get to kind of our oversize. Again, Act 2, again, it's barely an Act 2 with the boat thing to me. That's what it's really weird to kind of equate it to an Act 2. But let's go with the Jurassic Mansion of it all, kind of our overstretched Act 3.
Which I got to admit, when we get into the Jurassic Mansion of it all, the movie does kind of pick up again for me.
It does feel kind of like two movies, though, and it's not a bad thing. It's just saying it just feels like we're kind of the whole evacuation and the mansion thing. Both are good concepts. I'm not opposed to either one. I'm just saying it feels like kind of we're doing two separate things. Where you had something like the Lost World, where we had like a really kind of a cool thing where we had the Tyrannosaurus in you kind of go into the city, and it was kind of the last, what is it, like 10 minutes or 10-20 minutes of the movie. That felt like that was kind of like a neat that felt more like an act than this. This feels like a separate kind of story.
No, you're right. It does drag. That's probably the main issue with it. But I mean, to me, it just kind of like as a standalone set piece kind of guy, like we kind of had this conversation with Spielberg month and War of the Worlds. Like, I'll forgive a lot of stuff in movies if it has good set pieces. Mm-hmm. And to me, this is kind of where the movie gets into the meat and potatoes of the set pieces of it.
Sure. All right, so let's see. So let's get a little bit more substantial about Mills here because we kind of danced around him. You take the lead on this. So what do you think about Mills on the whole? Like the big kind of Mills's point, his villain plot, basically like the big cage scene where it's like he's spelling out what his motivation is and what he's doing to Claire and Owen. What do you think?
I mean, honestly, Dragon, I don't remember much beyond just the whole, like, we've got to have money side of things. Like, you're kind of asking, I saw this movie, like, close to 3 weeks ago. We're a little late on this.
Well, yeah, Mills, he felt like obviously feels like a very transparent villain. He feels like, okay, there's something off about this guy.
Oh, he's horrible. He's I feel like I'm glad we have Toby Jones in the movie to kind of balance it out. But I feel like Mills is kind of like the quintessential, like, he reminds me of Hammond's grandson from from Lost World.
Yeah. I kind of get it. Honestly, on the whole, let's address this. So, where do you come down on this? Do you think it's you think the movie as a whole is borrowing a lot from the Lost World? Do you feel like it's different enough?
Yes, but I think it does it better. To be fair, I think the Lost World is a slog, and this movie isn't a slog.
Okay. So here's the thing with Mills. So again, Mills, he's very transparent. He's not the most impressive villain. I do think you're right with that comparison. He is kind of because basically it's like that, but with Lockwood. He's kind of like Hammond's grandson, but instead it's like kind of someone in connection to Lockwood.
I don't even know like how he's connected to Lockwood. He's like Lockwood's assistant or something.
No. He's like the executor of his estate. This is the guy who like he runs like all of his. I don't know if Lockwood necessarily has a company, but he runs the operations that Lockwood. He's the guy who uses his money for endeavors. So like Lockwood approved of this whole evacuate save the dinosaurs plan. He doesn't know about any of this auction stuff. So like he's the executor of that whole evacuate the dinosaurs plan, and he's going to run wild with the money. That's the idea.
Gotcha.
So let's see. So I mean, here's the thing I do like about Mills, though. Like, again, the idea I wish they can nail down there that we kind of put in the play here. And again, it's a good idea. I like that Mills presents an argument here. It's not a well thought out argument, but it's a good argument in concept where, that Hammond and the rest, even John Hammond, or beloved John Hammond, they were exploiting dinosaurs. They were creating something to exploit, to like, hey, let's share this with the world. Let's either profit off of it or exploit it. So why not this? Eventually saying, well, if they were doing this already, I'm adding wood to the fire. Why can't I do this? People, you had a whole theme park based on dinosaurs. Ipso facto, you were making money off of dinosaurs. I'm just doing it through the direct marketing. And again, this is less. This is where we kind of get into the whole. This is probably a smart choice of it's less dinosaurs used for militarization. Like, we're not doing that necessarily, but we're opening Pandora's box to a world with dinosaurs in it, which is a big change. So again, like, we're open to dinosaurs probably finding their way to the military, but we're not directly saying like, hey, let's militarize dinosaurs. That's cool, right?
Thank God.
Yeah. Basically, we're not kind of doing like kind of a half-hearted like thing what we did with D'Onofrio in the first movie. I mean, if you want to talk about a character who's really shafted, D'Onofrio.
Yeah, and to be fair, as much as I don't think, I don't think that Mills is a great villain. I hate to say this about D'Onofrio, but I think D'Onofrio is probably worse.
Really? I mean, even compared to all right, okay.
I mean, this guy's bland, but D'Onofrio is more obnoxious.
Yeah, but it's like D'Onofrio has this cachet about him. Like, no, it's D'Onofrio. Where there's a point of like, even at the worst.
But to me, that almost kind of makes it worse because the writing is so off that it's like, yeah, it's D'Onofrio, and I really want to like this guy, and I was excited to see D'Onofrio going into Jurassic World, but it's just like,
Honestly, I kind of wish they could have spliced the characters together in a way. I kind of wish we could have had D'Onofrio playing this guy, which maybe would have, I don't know, if somehow we could have fused a bit of that. Maybe someone had more of a kind of, he was in the park and he kind of got the, I don't know if he somehow more tied into things. I don't know. Anyway. So, but again, I like the argument they were putting into place with Mills. Again, he does have somewhat of a point, and again, I know, folks, you can poke holes in the point. Yes, of like, well, it's not. He does blame Claire and Owen very directly, where it's like, yeah, you were doing that, weren't you, Owen? You never thought about the military capabilities of the Raptors, which of course we had that plot point in the first movie, which wasn't at all what Mills is really referring to. So there's a flaw in that. I get that. But what I do like is this idea that we do visually pay off at the very end, where he calls Claire and Owen the kind of the parents of the new era of the new Jurassic era. So I think it's a bad setup. We don't really set that because again, wouldn't that parable, again, I know it's kind of...
Yeah, I mean, that to me kind of like reeks of like fifth movie writing, where it's like, all right, we need a big idea, like we've got these new characters, like, yeah, sure, fuck it. They're the, you know what I mean? It's lazy.
Like, honestly, if you're going to make that idea work, I think first and foremost, one, you got to have them be an item if you want to make that parallel work. If you want to say, hey, you're the new parents of the era, because again, if they're doing that right, they would like try to like kind of make you remember the kind of the whole kind of perennial theme of Jurassic Park. If they want to go for that, and one, you should make these two an item, and not the whole like, are they? It's like kind of a will they, won't they sort of thing where you don't really care.
Exactly.
But again, the payoff is really good, though. I do like the visual payoff of that idea. So like it's not a bad concept that Mills is kind of expounding here. Again, conceptually, we got some good ideas in this movie. Just again, the really clunky. Anyway, the auction itself.
Oh, this is one of my favorite scenes. Honestly, I love how Toby Jones is just hamming it up.
Yeah, this is really well edited, this sequence, because what we do is as the dinosaurs are being sold, like the basically the money counter is going up. We kind of intercut. Basically, what we kind of do, we have like some really some striking kind of parallels to life going on here. It's like almost like, honestly, we kind of do it like a slave auction almost, where it's like just keeps like pounding the gavel. And it has like a kind of a, I don't know, it's kind of like a good kind of intimation we're kind of making there with like kind of like the severity of the gavel coming down, him just selling these dinosaurs wholesale. Something kind of effective about that. What did you think?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I guess the whole thing with the I'm sorry, just remind me of the name of the new dinosaur that we have.
The Indoraptor.
The Indoraptor, yes, I'm sorry.
As an Indominus Rex raptor, get it?
Which is ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. And this is kind of like when the movie enters B territory for me, but in a fun kind of way where, it's like Steve Jobs is rolling out a new iPad or something. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, all right, and here's next year's model. And basically what happens is that people are just like, well, I want that. Why can't I buy that? And the auctioneer, Toby Jones, is basically like, fuck it. We can make money off it now. The whole point of the first and second act the whole evacuation off that island to rescue the one raptor. Fuck it.
To be fair, that was more Mills like giving him the okay to do that. But yes, you're right.
Well, it's the movie saying fuck it, though. It's just like, at that point, Dragon, the whole plot of this whole movie just becomes essentially inconsequential for the most part.
Let's see. So essentially, we have the auction scene. It's greedy people, greedy people buying monsters, and again, this brings about, like one of my biggest issues, kind of from the point of Genesis with Jurassic Park as a franchise, and it really blows up. Again, basically the little issues with like the little like, okay, I'll give it a pass sort of things, where like, we have to have a movie. Kind of gets like the logic holes keep getting ripped bigger and bigger and bigger as it goes on, with like a moment like this where you have an auction of monsters of like, again, this all could have been avoided if John Hammond just made herbivores and smaller dinosaurs. Like why didn't we do that in the first place? Why did we need our meat eaters, our T-Rexes and our such? That would have been an obvious problem. Why did we do that? Or why couldn't, if we can manipulate DNA, can't we make a T-Rex that is not a meat eater? Can we, like, I don't know.
That's a good point. That would be an interesting direction to go in. I've never really thought of that.
That's what I'm saying. It's like a big, like one of those little logic holes that we'll get to this point now, which again, the auction's a great idea, and it makes sense if we're in a world like that where we just never.
Again, the auction to me is just kind of good B-movie fun. It's ridiculous. It kind of kills the movie in some ways, but on its own, it's a standalone set piece. It's fun.
Well, before we really get into the Indoraptor, I want to say one other thing with the auction. The auction was it was really ridiculous how Chris Pratt, basically we kind of do this big ego scene for Chris Pratt where Owen, he escapes with this kind of the ram dinosaur, which was a good I think it's like I forget what the dinosaur is called, but the ram dinosaur, the one that kind of bashes its head when you whistle. Remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
I love that it shows it shows Owen's ability. Remember, he's him as a trainer. I mean, again, we don't do like any of this like Navy man stuff we were doing in the first movie until this sequence where, okay, single-handedly he beats up all the armed guards without a gun. He single-handedly he does all these, runs fast at them, and like these are very ill-equipped guards. I like it when we're playing to Owen's strengths, where again he's like a good trainer, and again that's what he should have always been. And then we just and we're doing that by the same token, where
Owen at his best is like a heroic Muldoon. You know what I mean? At his best, I feel like that's the way the character was crafted.
I agree with you. So the Indoraptor itself, I will speak of this with the Indoraptor. I do like how it is sort of it makes sense as a dinosaur without any creativity put into it. I mean that as like a plot purpose of, if you're making a prototype for a dangerous dinosaur, for one that would be like kind of like the big get for people who just want to buy dinosaurs for destructive purposes. If you're going to do that, you're going to take the last model, which was the Indominus Rex, and you're going to mix it with the very dangerous, very coveted raptor. So, I mean, the mixture of that dinosaur makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Again, from just that perspective, I'm not the first person to say this, but again, it does make you wonder, why not have a picture of it instead of the actual dinosaur?
Yeah.
Hey, folks, coming next year, like a blueprint, like a schematic or something. Like, why? Like, hey, coming to like a big tease, like make it like Comic-Con for an auction. Like, hey, coming soon.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's
when you mix a raptor with the Indominus Rex. We'll never tell. Come back next year. Something like that. But here's the cool thing about the Indominus. The Indoraptor. About to say the Indominus Rex. the Indoraptor. I love the idea of a super smart dinosaur, like the raptor. And basically, what we got for one of the big sequences in the movie, the bedroom scene. Like that's the perfect. Again, that's the other perfect sequence in the movie. The way we have that bedroom scene, the way it's directed, I should say.
Oh yeah.
Because again, giving away on the trailer. Again, folks, if there's a drinking game, you're probably schlocker at this point. But But I mean, yeah, that's a cool idea. Though, if you have a dinosaur that's smarter than the rest, that we have we have two bits that kind of support that, like a super smart dinosaur, and why it's terrifying, and why it's really cool. Of the bedroom scene, which is the best direction in the movie, and the Wheatley death. I do love how we kill off Wheatley. Basically the Indoraptor plays tranked. It plays unconscious. And
Oh yes. I forget about that. Yeah, the smile on it is great.
and of course it does that great smile. And this is honestly like the big
That's what I'm
crowd
saying.
pleasing.
Yeah.
This is the big crowd pleasing moment in my theater, by the way, where like it smiles to camera and everyone's like, "Oh boy."
Which honestly, in that way, the Indoraptor I feel was a better villain than the Indominus Rex.
Yeah, it had personality.
Yeah, exactly. The Indominus Rex to me was just kind of like this big hulking, like it was boring. It didn't have personality. It didn't have character to it.
Because we had that one line with the Indominus Rex that we see more here than we did there, where it's the idea of a dinosaur that hunts for sport. And what we did is we took that and we gave it like the other genetic traits of a dinosaur that is a learning dinosaur. We took those two traits and mixed it together. So in theory, this should be the most terrifying dinosaur ever made on the face of the earth, which is like literally a super smart killing machine. It's a land jaws. It should be a land jaws, with the barrels and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a Jaws meets Hannibal Lecter. That's essentially what you want in your dinosaur there. And I feel that we only explored that in two scenes where we could have gone farther with it. We just kind of went the generic, like, okay, he's a hunter, but we didn't go like the whole like a raptor that's playing dead to kill its prey. So yeah, there's that. Okay, I guess we should talk about the big Maisie bit. Unless there's anything else you want to say about the bedroom scene.
No, I got nothing. So the big Maisie bit. What?
Sorry, one last thing I forgot to mention. I'm going to kick myself, but I'll mention this. I do love the laser targeting system with the echo. The whole laser echo targeting system idea. I thought that was really cool. Mm-hmm. All right, okay, Maisie, go on.
Yeah, so we get human clones in the movie, and honestly, Dragon, I felt like this was a really natural evolution of the Jurassic franchise, and I liked it a lot. However, it's the kind of controversial, like, seismic shift that I can see the internet absolutely hating.
I'm going to make this argument to you. I don't think people, at least from my experience, again, I don't know how tapped into it you are with this movie specifically, but from my perspective, the whole Maisie thing is like the problem isn't that the clone reveal isn't a problem, but it's just what she does because of this clone reveal. That's the big moment. People are really like saying, okay, that's like kind of like a negative Last Jedi reaction moment. Like, yeah, that hurts the movie big time.
Well, we'll get into that.
Sure, but on the whole, with just the reveal itself, so I love Maisie trusting Owen because of the video. By the way, we have good kid acting there. Like I love basically when she meets Owen and Clara. That's where I really love the performance of Maisie and everything. But the reveal itself, I feel it's a little clunky. It's cool. Don't get me wrong. It's cool, and I love.
I think it makes a lot of sense that it's a line that Hammond wouldn't cross.
Yeah, it does make sense, and it makes sense. That's what severed their partnership too. It all tracks. It all makes sense. I gotta tell you though, what's so funny? I remember in another conversation that we had. I think it was maybe during one of the trailer videos. Like we looked into what details we had for the plot of this movie, and like they talked about like kind of the abandoned plots, and some of the abandoned plots were like human dinosaur hybrids, and we kind of got that here.
In a way.
in a way, and I think I even joked to you once, like, oh yeah, they were gonna have one of these Jurassic World movies. We're gonna definitely get those half dinosaur, half basically military serums. They'll give us kind of like the lizard guys from Amazing Spider-Man.
Oh God.
But yeah, I mean, I like that.
One of the shots that no one's really talking about that I liked was the reflection of Maisie against the raptor in the glass.
That is great. That is a great shot. Yes, I'm with you 100% on that. That was a great reveal too, because then the lights come back on, and I think that was them trying to recapture the like homage Jurassic Park with the whole like the intercutting between the power grid coming back on and Tim getting electrocuted. See with the edit the way that that one. Anyway, yeah, man, I do love the bigger ethical implications that are raised because of this reveal with the kid. Again, I just feel like the way we do that, the way we say this though is really bizarre. Of like, you don't know what you have there. Basically revealing that she's a clone.
Oh, I know. Like that would make any difference. You know what I mean? Like she's a monster.
And that's what I'm saying. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a cool reveal. It's just like the way we did is like that's a little random. That's just runs away like she's important, runs away. All right, so I guess we'll get to the big climax of it all. Like again, more ladders. He's climbing the ladder to get to the.
Pretty much, yeah. Ladder's the movie.
Yeah, but the chase itself is cool. It would have been nice if we made the Indoraptor a little smarter, and if we could, I made like a little smarter throughout that chase. I don't know, but it was still super cool. I love how we defeat the Indoraptor, though. I do love how it's we use the targeting system to kind of lure it to places, and we impale it on the symbol of what. Basically, we impale it on a symbol of what formed Jurassic Park. Basically, on the dinosaurs of the old world, on like a skeleton. The skeleton's underneath. They got impaled on that, and blue on top of it. So I like that was the Indoraptor's undoing. The problem, however, is that we kind of did that exactly with the Indominus Rex in Jurassic World, where like it was the T-Rex and the Raptor that defeated, the symbols of old defeating the new dinosaur.
Yeah, at that point, Dragon, I got to admit, in the theater, I was kind of just like, meh. It was kind of cool, but at the same time, I'm just like, all right, let's just, like, I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to get this movie over with.
All right, well, speaking of endings, let's talk about the big choice, Tiki. What do you think about the big choice?
I got to admit, I think it maybe would have played, like, here's the thing. I like the clone reveal, and I think this choice would have actually played better if it wasn't because of the clone reveal, but more just because of the fact that this was a naive little girl who didn't understand the implications and loved dinosaurs. I think if they would have played it more out of naivety and less out of like, oh, they're alive like me, which that's going to go down in if this movie hits.
I know that's the thing I keep hearing more or less. It's less the whole clone reveal, and if anything about the reveal.
No, that line is painfully bad.
That's the thing I keep hearing, and I never hear in the end of this movie. It's like, oh,
yeah, I hear you.
So here's the thing with the big choice. So I love how it's crafted. T. I really love how this moment's crafted. It's a great moment of change for Claire, and Claire faces a real choice here. And I love the moment of change in storytelling. It's a great bit. And she makes the smart choice of we can't do this, and they're all corralled in there, and the noxious gas is spreading. And it's like, okay, well, no, I can't do this. And in doing so, she would witness the death of all these guys kind of corralled in there and being gassed to death, which is very horrifying, I'm sure. But again, the way it was shot, the way it was executed, such a meme. They shot it in such a meme-creating way. It's that they should have, we should have saw it. They should have saw it coming. The way they crafted it, like no one in the edit bay saw it. Okay, we're going to be mocked relentlessly for this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the idea speaks for itself. It's like cohabitation in the future of like, we're going to be cohabitating with these dinosaurs. We made this mess. We got to live with it. That's kind of what they're going for. But again, not saying it's clever enough, I guess.
But here's the thing, Dragon. When we get into, I'm sorry, is there anything else you want to say about the choice? Like,
nothing about the choice, just like the ending, the big kind of like the Goldblum link.
Let's get into the ending, because the ending is honestly my favorite part of the movie. I love the Goldblum bookends. I love the implications. When I was talking about the childlike sense of wonder that this movie brought to me, this is kind of it. The whole idea of like, all right, like we're living in a new age now. Like dinosaurs and humans have to share the planet, and what's that going to be like? Welcome to Jurassic World. I don't know, Dragon. That got to me. As a Jurassic Park fan, I was like, all right. Like, at the very least, I have to see the next movie now. Like, it's not a question.
I mean, here's what I like. I love how kind of Planet of the Apes it felt. I really
That's
love
what I'm
that.
saying. It's like and I feel like Planet of the Apes is a direction that the Jurassic franchise, like, I feel like more people should have called that as a direction the franchise was going to go in, but now that it's here, it feels so natural.
Yeah. And again, then we have the shot as this is being said. We're seeing various things, and we're seeing Owen and Claire becoming parents to the future via Maisie. Yeah, nice. Again, is not is not set up well enough, but it's like, hey, there's that guy said that earlier. Now we're seeing it unfold. That's kind of cool, right? But it's I mean, here's the thing. So yeah, I love how we have the full circle thing in Goldblum. I love the end shots. I think again, it's very well directed. It's all very very.
And of course, the trailer spoils it all. Everything.
That's what I'm saying.
Every last shot.
Exactly. The whole everything but that car shot is in the. I don't know, maybe even the car shots there. I don't know. From what I recall, like all everything is in there. Even I think Goldblum's speech, honestly, I think is in there because I think
Goldblum's speech, the "Welcome to Jurassic World" line, literally the final moment of the movie.
See, Christopher Nolan can get away with that because no one knows. Like they're so wrapped up in where's it going to end? Where's it going to end? And of course, when you you can I'm going to make a movie so good. I'm going to use the shot of Batman, on the Batpod, leaving, and we're going to call it the Dark Knight. I'm going to use that, my big dramatic ending. I'm going to make it the first thing the trailer opens on because I'm cool.
Oh my God.
That's Nolan's inner monologue there. It's like, yeah, I'm going to do something like that, and they're going to love me for it. Yeah. Anyway. Anyway, the end. I think the implication of the end. It's still very dangerous and it's ill thought out. I mean, don't know, it's executed very well and makes me. It does make you want to see another one. Not arguing there. I agree with you 100%. By the same token, I just think it's still a very dangerous choice that is made. Of like, yeah, let's let them free. It's ill thought out, and essentially it's kind of Jurassic Park in a nutshell. There, where it's dangerous and ill thought out, but I mean, you have a sense of whimsy and it's kind of a feeling over a thought. A lot with Jurassic Park. It's not fully thought out, but it is pretty. It's pretty cool. And by the way, I don't know if you know this, Tiki, but fun fact: there are 2 ET references in this movie. One, there's a stuffed ET in Maisie's room, and 2.
I did catch that. Yeah.
This one's even cooler too. The last shot of the movie, Blue is roaring over the neighborhood from E.T., the suburban neighborhood from E.T.
No way. How do you know that for a fact?
Well, I mean, I've kind of seen Easter egg videos. I've seen a bunch of them. They keep saying that's the neighborhood from E.T., and I read an article somewhere it was substantiated.
So it's like the filming location?
Yeah, that's the filming location from E.T.
That's crazy.
I read it somewhere, like someone who worked on the movie. I don't remember who, but I think it was the director. I don't know. It was the director. It was either Jay Bayona or somebody who's from the movie, like substantially. Oh yeah, we shot there are a few ET references in the movie. And then I saw the Easter eggs. So again, I think it's true. I mean, I could be wrong, but it sounds true to me.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I guess in the future, too, like any brief things in the future of what that next movie.
Honestly, I don't have much to say that hasn't already been said. I do think that maybe we should probably wrap up the franchise in this 3rd installment of the Jurassic World franchise. Maybe do a reboot or a remake sometime years down the line. But ultimately, I feel like it's a promising direction to go, and I'm kind of wrapping up this into my final thoughts, Dragon, if you don't mind. I feel like it's a promising direction to go in with the franchise. I definitely hope that the new movie kind of relies more on bringing kind of some of that nostalgia back, kind of bringing some full circle quality. I really hope we get some stuff for Sam Neill to do. Dragon, that's all I wanted. I want a reunion between Alan Grant and Ian Malcolm. At the end of the day, I don't really care about anything else. And I hope that we get a good director for this. I would be down for J.A. Bayona. I actually heard that Colin Trevorrow is returning for Jurassic World 3, which worries me. I digress. I'm hoping for the best, but as it's come to be known with Jurassic sequels, eventually kind of expect the worst. So, in terms of my final thoughts with Fallen Kingdom as a whole, like I said, Dragon, I do think that this is my favorite of the Jurassic sequels, but it's just not a high bar. It really isn't. But it's a movie of good set pieces. It's a movie of trash characters. So it's definitely a mixed bag. But the set pieces that are there, I guess it's kind of like the War of the Worlds of the Jurassic franchises in a way. The set pieces that are there are very memorable and do stick out to me. I just wish that there was more holding it up. I wish that there was a stronger foundation behind it all.
All right. For me, in regards to the future, I mean, I obviously first and foremost want Doctor Wu in a bigger role. Want him in a big role for another movie. Here's what I'd love him to do in another movie. Again, on the whole, they kind of did Jurassic Underground, so I'm not necessarily they should. I don't think they should try to do that. Again, I don't know how much sense it would make because now like the dinosaurs are out in the world, so obviously I'm going to redact that pitch because we kind of got it somewhat here. But here's mainly what I really want though. What I think in part what I may have pitched when I told you that thing, something I definitely would love to see just in general coming forward. I agree with you. I want Dr. Grant to return. I really do. And Sam Neill said, Sam Neill, from what I heard, he's not opposed to returning. It's just he feels like they don't really want Alan Grant to come back. It just feels like they're kind of like going the whole new, like, let's bring in new guys, let's bring like a new, like they're trying to divorce themselves from some of the actors. But then again, now we get, I think that was when Jurassic World came out. And now, of course, we're bringing Goldblum back. I'm not sure. So I'm not sure how he feels about it now. The point is, though, I think the way of bringing Grant back would be one, we confirm the fan theory, and this would something to win people over, and this would be kind of cool, and it make him thematically, it would make sense to bring back Dr. Grant if we confirm that Owen was the Raptor kid from.
Yes. Oh my God. Oh my God.
And what I would recommend, so again, I'd recommend Wu is our main guy, is one of our main guys, if not potentially kind of our ambiguous bad guy. Like he's not a bad guy, but he's like our main.
Yeah, that's all I want. That's all I want is for Owen to be like, "Hey man, you threatened me with a raptor claw this one time out in a dig site. It kind of traumatized me a little bit."
But seriously, think about this. You have Wu is your main guy, and kind of to counteract Wu, again, like the two people had the biggest reservations. And you can throw Goldblum in there to kind of like get the band back together. But let's just say primarily.
Goldblum, like I said, we just need one scene with Goldblum. Like Goldblum, give me one scene with Goldblum flirting with Laura Dern and Ellen Grant being like, nah. That's all I need. That's all I need.
No, but seriously, like we confirm that Owen's the Raptor kid, and we have basically Grant return, and we have a parallel between basically we actually let's just not do amnesia like we did at the beginning of this movie with the relationship. Let's just say, Chris Pratt, he's in real life, he's a good father. He plays kind of the father son dynamic really well. Let's just kind of do the whole. He's kind of raising kind of a put together family with he, Claire, and Maisie. And Grant's whole thing, Grant, from what we understand, he may have a son. They're kind of playing fast and loose with the whole.
He does have a son.
You're right, he has a son, but I'm saying they're kind of playing fast and loose with, like, so I've heard sometimes they want to retroactively kind of get rid of Jurassic 2 and 3, and they just want to do 1, then World, then this. But the point is, I don't know how if they're going to. It might be like a Mutt Williams situation. I don't know what they're going to do with that. But the point is, even family or no family, the point is with Grant himself, we could still do a parallel of like what we had with Grant in the first movie. Grant being going on that arc of realizing, he wanted kids, he wanted a family, he wanted all of this, and basically, Grant could have like kind of he could basically kind of he could be reminded of where he started everything with through Owen as being that Raptor kid, and like Grant had the had the big ethical questions, and this movie is now in that realized world that he feared he would live in. So this is the time to bring in Alan Grant and the character. I really want to see a scene between Sam Neill and BD Wong. That's the scene I want to see. I want to see these two guys having a really smart conversation about the world they live in now, and like maybe Wu saying, "I was wrong, you were right, Grant." I mean, but now basically the two working on a solution for this. But that's what I want to see, and use Owen as kind of our bridge to get there. That's what I want to see happen.
For sure.
So, final thoughts is very simple. The movie's kind of middle in the road in the franchise for me. Bear in mind, I haven't seen all the movies, but from what I've seen, it just on the whole, it's just kind of a middle of the road movie for me.
You like it better or worse than World?
That's the thing. I keep going back and forth on it because I like the simple and direct nature, and again, the theme park of it all with Jurassic World. But you're right. I think, I love the ambition in this movie. I think it's visually more striking. Like this movie, I think is more competently made, but not more competently written. And I know that's the thing. It's like it's kind of it's not really compared to World. I don't know if the World's not perfect either in the writing department, but by the same token, it's simpler. It's like we're just the right amount of ambitious visually with this movie, but we're not as ambitious with the storytelling. I don't know.
I feel you.
The point is, at the end of the day, this movie has a lot of potential. And again, I like what they tried to do with this movie. I really do. But at the end of the day, it's a case of style over substance for me. But it's fun though. On the whole, it's fun. It's style over substance. There's nothing. It's not Yates by any stretch, but it's you want to see a movie in the summer about dinosaurs and it's the one's going to rake in all the money, I'd recommend it.
All right, folks, thanks so much for watching. Dragon, what's the next big summer movie coming out? Of course, we're going to do Ant-Man and the Wasp soon, but after that...
well, for us, it would be Christopher Robin.
Christopher Robin, yes. All right, so stay tuned for that. And don't forget, folks, they're alive, just like me. Da 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 da.